right?
No, yeah,
Like
no.
it's not gonna help nothing. So for me, it was more important to like we gotta have these conversations. I got teenagers. I gotta tell, my 14-year-old at that time. Now he's 15, but at that time he was
Yeah.
14 years old. I gotta
Wow.
have a literal conversation with him
Wow.
about his conversations, because at the time he was talking to a young lady who was not of color.
A different persuasion.
Right, of a different persuasion. And by the way, at least the young lady was honest enough to say, you know what? My parents kind of feel a certain way.
Oh, yeah. Well, I
And
appreciate you.
yeah,
Appreciate that.
like thank you for being honest, right? But that's what was kind of going on with us. It was just
Yeah.
like, man, like everywhere we turn, we're like, okay,
Yeah.
there's a we just had to help them out. And I'm gonna tell you something. Here's what's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
For a 15 and a 16-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
the way they approach these situations, I grew up in the hood, so it wouldn't. I couldn't
Yeah.
have done the mature thing the way they did.
Wow.
They knew how to navigate. Like they would tell us about the conversations they were having, and I'm like, "Well, what'd you say?" Like I'm like, "Okay, I
Wow.
get that those conversations are happening in your world, but
Yeah.
how did you respond? Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
how did you take that moment when you heard that slight?" And it
Wow.
was just like I'm like, they're emotionally intelligent.
That's good.
Like
That's good.
at that age, they're emotionally intelligent, and I cannot say I would have been. There-
Yeah.
I grew up, we'd have
No.
been fighting everywhere. It'd have been nuts.
And that's because that's the natural reaction for
Yep.
humans.
Yep.
We have that natural pride, that natural
Mm-hmm.
reaction to defend ourselves. But even still, I love that you said emotional intelligence because, I grew up, one thing that I love about my father is he taught me chess, right? So with
Okay.
chess, you learn how to make strategic moves and you learn how to streamline your moves, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah.
learn how to make the most potent moves early on and then sometimes later on to get the ended desired result that you need.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of take that same mindset into my conversations, into my relationships, into anything I do. So I always want to make the most streamlined move with anything I'm doing. And so let's for example, let's go back to the Trayvon Martin situation, right? I told my wife, I said, a chess move that he could have made that would have saved his life, right? Him as soon as what's his name? Zimmerman. By the way, that
Yeah.
was right down the street from my place, actually.
Are you
Soon as
serious?
yeah, he was on the phone. Trayvon was on the phone. He was on the phone with his
Oh my
girlfriend,
goodness.
right? So,
Wow.
and this is how I think, and this is how I will be teaching my children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Someone comes up to you, accusatory, bad tone, whatever the case may be. Are you on the phone? Okay. Now this phone conversation turns into me on the phone with the police. You know what I'm saying? Even if you're not on the phone with the police. Hey, well, what do you do? I think he said, what are you doing in this neighborhood? Oh, well, hold on. Let me let this police tell you why I'm in this neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you want to talk to him? That would have changed the whole
Yeah.
tone. Like,
Yeah.
hold on. Okay. Yeah, I'm literally on the phone with the police so they can tell you that I live 2 houses down the street. Right.
Man.
So, I mean, these are just chess moves. And when we have conversations like, and I tell young guys, man, when I get pulled over by the police right now, I take my keys, I take them out the ignition, and they're on my hood. They out
Yeah.
my window on my hood,
Yeah.
And I had a police tell me not too long ago. It's funny. Me and my wife was laughing because I'm so extra, bro. Like I don't have time not to be extra, right?
Yeah.
I don't have time not to within 3.2 seconds interject into your mind my intentions and my exact thought process, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when I get pulled over, because I get pulled over, I'm a black man with dreads. It's just bad in Florida. You know what I'm saying? I take my keys, roll all the windows down, you know what I'm saying? Turn all the lights on in the car. I got my keys. I throw them on the hood, just right out the hood, right?
Mm-hmm.
The police walked up to me and he said, sir, you watch too much TV. That's what he said to me in front of my whole family. I said, I didn't say this. I wanted to. I just kind of shrugged it off like, hey, in my mind, I'm like, well, at least you know that I'm one of the good guys or whatever, that I'm not trying to die today, right? But
Exactly.
it baffled me when I drove off. I said, yeah, do you know the TV I'm watching? The TV I'm
Mm-hmm.
watching, yeah, you're right. I may watch too much TV because the TV I'm watching are just young black men getting gunned down for nothing,
That's
right?
right. That's
You
right.
could tell me like Philando to reach for something. He was following the police orders, right?
Right.
When
That's
he
right.
reached for something and he got gunned down. So it's like, you have to make those chess moves with everything you do. And I love what you said, emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence, it embodies more than just your physical movements.
Mm-hmm.
It embodies your mental movements, your actual audible movements as well, and also embodies the moves that you think that they're going to make. So now you have to counter those moves, right? You have to be able to. I'm sure you taught your boys read body language, right?
Yeah.
Read like read facial expressions, because all these are minute signs that will tell you their mental state and tell
Mm-hmm.
you how you need to navigate, right?
Yeah.
Because I love that, man. Emotional intelligence, I love that.
And it's crazy because if we get to it to the apex of what I consider this year from the racial injustice side, I think the thing that was the hardest part for me was, I know this situation just happened with this police officer for 8 minutes and 43 seconds. I know that. And I was telling my wife, because she was like, honey, have you seen the video? And I was like, no, because I don't want to see it.
Yeah.
Because that could be me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to keep repeating to watch me.
That's empathy.
Yeah, like, so I don't know. I don't need those images burned in my head.
Have you seen it yet?
I have seen it. I have seen it,
Yeah.
but it took me a minute before I watched it.
I'm same as you. I didn't see it for a while, and I think the only reason I saw it was because it was now time after they had gotten prosecuted, at least arrested, and I wanted to really see, the deliberateness of what had happened versus, what people were saying, because you had people trying to defend this guy. Oh, well, he was this and he was this. Well, let me go see this video.
That's
You
right.
know what I'm saying?
That's right.
And that's when I did, because I'm like you, man. I don't need to see that. You know what I'm saying? Because I see myself down there. Right?
That's what it was. That's how I
horrible.
felt. And the thing that I realized at the moment was, there's two difficult decisions, emotional intelligence, that we as fathers, and as just men, white, black, brown, didn't matter. There was two decisions we had to make. One, the amount of assumptions that we allow ourselves to embody had to stop.
Bam. Love that. And two, what's the second one?
The second one is, I had this conversation the Sunday night before Monday morning, having to go back to work with my wife. And I said, honey, I know things are raw right now. I said, but babe, what if one of my white counterparts comes and asks me for help? What if they actually come genuinely like, yo, I don't know what to do, but I'm just reaching out. And I was like, the second thing is, we got to have an answer. That's the hard part. Like, it's a raw moment, but to your point, everybody ain't bad. Everybody is not that one moment that we saw that was a snapshot in time, right? That overgeneralization is not for real. So I remember talking with my wife that Sunday night, and I said, but honey, somebody's gonna reach out. And sure enough, 7 a.m. Monday morning afterwards, a coworker reached out to me and was like, hey, can we talk?
Yeah.
And I'm like, uh-oh, it's starting. And so did you have moments like that where your white counterpart started reaching out to you, or they didn't know what, but they were reaching out they just didn't know what to do with the moment? Did you have some of those experiences?
Yeah.
I know I had several.
Now that you mentioned that, oh, okay, no. Because I was going to go to one of my texts because I didn't get a lot of people calling me, but I got my text just went crazy.
Oh yeah, my text definitely did go crazy too.
And the general sentiment was, hey man, first of all, are you okay? Are you doing okay? And I'd be like, I'm doing fine, man, but I know why they're contacting me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm doing great. They say, hey, well, I just want to let you know, man, you're an awesome, Black role model for, the Black community. And if there's anything that I can do, big or small, just let me know. And I got you and this and that. And I'm like, hey man, to be honest with you, bro, I said, I was like, Thank you for reaching out. Thank you for your concern. And yeah, I believe like everything on my end is great. Now it just takes that same energy moving forward, because it's different than a text, right? And just a
That's
moment
right.
in time,
That's
but
right.
after these casualties are now in the ground, and after they get this, because we get happy when we get an arrest, right,
That's
and
right.
or an indictment, but
Hmm.
we don't keep our foot on the gas to get the actual, you know
The
go to
justice.
prison.
That's
Yeah, the
right.
justice, right? So
Facts.
so
Facts.
now after all the smoke is cleared, right, and
Hmm.
after you did, your text, and how are we going to move forward? That's what I'm more concerned
That's
about.
right.
I'm more concerned about, and I appreciate the text, but now what are we all doing collectively to now keep the initiative moving forward? So
Yeah.
to answer your question, I did get not a lot of that, but I probably got a little bit of that, and it was a little bit awkward, but I appreciate them reaching out, and it was cool.
Yeah. Um, I definitely had some direct conversations with some folks. I sleep good at night because I always tell people the truth. So I, whether you might want to hear it or not, but I don't
Yeah,
mind sharing the truth with people, because that's the only way we all gonna grow, right?
that's true.
So in the moment, to your point, yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool. I understand why you're doing it. I'm not.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah,
But I had a conflict internally, because I was like, I also don't want to be the angry black guy.
yeah,
I
yeah.
also don't want, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to come off to people with that emotional
Mm,
intelligence again, right? Like, I
yeah.
have to, I got to take a moment to articulate myself in a way that
Hmm.
doesn't alienate people, right?
Hmm. Yeah,
But
yeah.
gives them a pathway to learn, right? So here we are, December 23rd, to your point. Are
Hmm.
you still, and I got a video that's coming about this. Are you still angry with me? Like, really? Like, it's December 23rd. Are you still angry with me like you were in June?
Yeah,
Are you
yeah,
still riding with me?
yeah,
Are you still an ally? Are you still for the fight of going all the way, right?
yeah.
Because that's what's
It,
needed. Right? Like,
yeah, it's
that's
kind of like one of those things. After your text is sent and we've had this conversation, now you get to go back to live your normal life, but I still
yeah,
have to live this life,
that's
right?
right.
So kind of
That's
like
right.
to your point, you know, how can we keep the conversation going? And I love
Yeah.
what you said earlier. I kind of want to double back when you said about what's the first thing you said about assumptions. Can you kind
Yeah.
of go into that a little bit more? What you
Yeah.
meant? 'Cause I want to make sure I got that clear.
So
What do you mean by
the
assumptions?
problem is that we were already making we were overgeneralizing
Uh-huh.
for a group of people.
Gotcha.
Every time you turn on the news, we're
Yeah.
overgeneralizing for white people. We're overgeneralizing for black people. We're
Yeah.
overgeneralizing a narrative here. We're over,
Hmm.
and I'm the kind of guy. I just released a YouTube video about the 8 things every dad should teach his son, right? And one of the things I talked about is I
Yeah.
teach my kids. I don't just watch one narrative of the news. I watch them all, because I'm
Mm-mm, no.
interested in the narrative
Yeah.
that's being
Absolutely.
played, so I know how to respond to it, right? Like, I'm interested in the
Absolutely.
narrative. I'm not interested in the sensationalism of it. I'm interested in what is
Nope.
it that, you know,
Or the emotionalism
or
of it
yeah,
either, you
I
know?
don't really care. What I care about is,
Mm.
what are you actually pushing to the minds of people
Yeah, yeah.
about this moment, right? And that will help me understand, oh, okay, so there's different sides. And what I do is I teach my kids, like, listen, you have an opinion, you have a right to
Mhm,
have one, but that doesn't
mhm.
mean in every situation you're always right.
Yeah,
You got to let other people in so you can have a
absolutely,
healthier worldview about,
absolutely,
oh, now I understand there's about 5 different sides to this one situation, right? Like, it's
absolutely.
not just me and mine. It's, oh, I understand how that would be difficult on your end. There's a great movie, Forrest Whitaker, Vantage Point, that does a
Mm,
great job of capsulating
wow,
what a vantage point can do to the
wow.
narrative of a situation.
Absolutely.
It,
Yeah, I remember when I was in college, and I only went to college for literally like a year, and I was like, yeah, this ain't for me. But one of the most influential classes I took was world religions, and we were talking about world religions and the perspective side of world religions. And my teacher was like, hey, everybody stand up, look at this wall. What color is this wall? And the wall was like blue, right? And then he said, okay, that's your perspective. Now everybody go stand on that side of the classroom, and we did. And we said, now look at this wall. What color is it? And from the way the sun hit it or something, the wall changed green. And he was
gotcha.
like, well, now is the wall green or is it blue? And it's like, well, it's both. Well, your truth from your perspective is actually your truth, and it
Yep.
is green now. And from that perspective, it is blue now. So it was just that, just like was like an epiphany moment for me,
Mm-hmm.
because that is how our lives are from our
Yeah.
perspective, based off of our upbringing, based off our religious views that we have, based off of different things. Our perspective is our truth, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of weird. But I just wanted to say the danger in generalizing and over generalizing is, it's easy to say white people, right? Or
That's
black people,
right.
or
That's right.
Spanish, or Mexican. It's easy to do that, but now what we are missing is the characteristics and the behaviors, the
Mm-hmm.
traits that can really allow us to dial into the real issue,
Totally
right? So
agree.
if you say black people, okay, but hold on now, what is the behaviors, the characteristics, the traits that cause that individual to do that? And if
Mm-hmm.
we just throw a blanket on everybody, now we can't deal with these characters and really kind of dial into the behavior so we can fix it, right? So that's why I just despise overgeneralizations, and
Mm-hmm.
it's a trick. It's really just like a trick of the enemy, like my mom
Yeah.
would say. It's a trick of the enemy. So
It's
yeah,
it's a way to keep us confused. It's a way to
yeah,
keep it's a way to ensure we stay divided.
absolutely.
Despite all of the people who are fighting on behalf of right,
Hmm.
right? And that's the thing that I try to teach my boys. Don't get caught up in the emotion of anything. Figure
Wow.
out what's right
Yeah.
and focus on
Hmm.
that. Like there's a level of maturity that two things I'm always teaching in some of my my leadership training that I do. One, I always talk about learning how to ask better questions. That's a real
Yeah.
skill.
Absolutely.
You can ask surface level questions all day, but the moment we start diving below that, and I can get you to see something based on a question. Now we're getting you to chew on other things, right?
Hmm.
Getting past the surface of yes or no questions and
Mm.
helping people to truly start to have to think about, to your
Hmm.
point, behaviors.
Yeah,
Why would you choose that in that moment, right?
man.
What what was driving you at the moment? I got a video about that. Like what are the things that are driving you? Is it
Mm.
fear? Is it doubt? Is it rejection? Because if you
Wow.
let any of those things drive in the front seat of your car, you're gonna
Wow.
crash all day long.
Crash.
You've
Wow.
got to be in control. And so the other thing I always talk about is being able to detach the emotion from the problem.
Hmm.
It's hard as all get out. I'm not saying any of that's easy. In relationships, it sucks not to be able to state how I feel.
Wow.
But if we can remove the emotion and actually have a conversation about the problem, then
Yeah.
we're both attacking the problem, not attacking each other. Right?
Bam.
That's hard.
Love it.
I'm not saying it's easy. Trust me, I screw that up all the time. But it's something that I think would help in racial injustice conversations, right? It
Wow.
would
Yeah.
help in political conversations. It would help when we're trying to decide, what do we do about foreign allies in situation, right? Like if we were able to really truly get down to what is right and let that be the thing that drives us,
Yeah.
and learning how to detach
Absolutely.
emotion from things, we would get further, right? We would
Yeah.
we would get somewhere.
That's good.
And it's hard. It's
I
hard. It's
love that,
hard.
man.
So let's move on because
Well,
we
that's one
getting
of the
late.
things I do. You know, that's one of the things I do with my children, even though they're young, 7, 5, and 2. I just love the ability to, when they make a decision, right? And sometimes it's not the best decision, and
Hmm.
I say, with the intent to get an answer, because we can just spew something out our mouth and be like, "Why'd you do that?" Right? No,
Right.
it's like, no, no, why? I get down. Sometimes you got to get down eye level. When they're shorter, I like to get eye level with them. Of course, I'm an authority figure, but I want to get right here with you.
Hmm.
Why did you do that? Like, what was your thought process on doing that? So sometimes, and I just love to just see their minds, just like, well, I don't know
They
why I
working
did
through it.
that.
They're
Yeah, they work.
working through it.
We're raising critical thinkers. We're
Yeah.
raising thought leaders, right? So
Yep.
I think a lot of times, with parenting, we skip over that part. They do
Yeah.
something. Oh, you did this. Oh, now you're grounded. Or let me spank you or something. But you're not going to give them an opportunity to express themselves or think about what they did, to find the root cause, the behavior, the character,
Hmm.
like what caused them to do that. I do prison ministry, and I go out to all the prisons in Florida, and some of the prisons I go to are with young detention centers for
Mm-hmm.
people under 18,
Mm.
and sometimes I see them as young as 11, 12. They're in there, believe it or not, they're in there for rape. You know what I'm saying? They're in there
Man.
for stealing. Their parents sending them in there to steal and stuff like that. It's so heartbreaking when you go in there, and for me, the hardest part is leaving, knowing that they have to stay in there.
Yeah, man.
It's just
Wow.
heartbreaking. But I see the result of not raising children who are critical thinkers, thinking about their actions, thinking about before, I tell my children all the time, you have a decision to make. I love when I get the opportunity to tell them this. You have a decision to make. You have
Mm-hmm.
right decision and a wrong decision.
Choose ye
I'm
this
not
day.
I'm not gonna tell you which one to make. Just
Yeah.
know that there's consequences on both sides.
That's right.
Good consequences or bad consequences. And I literally leave them to make that decision. And sometimes they do make the wrong decision. And they
Mm-hmm.
have to be okay with the bad consequences that come with that.
That's right.
But a lot more often when you do that, they start making the right decision more and more and more. And it's just a beautiful thing to raise a critical thinking child. And I just wanted to kind of say that.
Dude, that's beautiful, man. And I think it's because you're teaching them to learn to respond instead of react to life.
Love it. Yep,
Right? That's what you're
absolutely.
doing. You're teaching them to respond. And,
Hmm.
and responding might mean I gotta pause for a little while. Right? Because if I
Let's go.
react to the situation,
I should have worn my shirt.
yeah, exactly. Pause, pray, proceed. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's been one thing that I've had to master probably even as a young man over the last 5 years. Like
Hmm.
everything I don't need to react to.
Mm-mm.
Sometimes I got to respond, and responding might mean I'm not doing what everyone else might want me to do.
Hmm.
But once I say something on this situation, it's been well thought about,
Hmm.
right?
Responding is on the front end, reacting is on the back end.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
responding, you're in control. You're
That's right.
responding, right?
Yep.
Reacting, it done already happened. Now you trying to figure out, well, hold on, now I got to
Yeah.
have a reaction. When when the doctor takes the little thing and hits your knee, that reaction, that knee jerk reaction that you have to
Mm-hmm.
kick him, that because he done already tapped you, right? But you have the opportunity to respond when he pull it out. You're like, hold on, what you finna do with that? That's you responding to what he's about to do. So I just love that. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Let's see. My man Neil, what's happening, man? Neil is a good dude. I know. I attend a mixed congregation, majority white, and I had a lot of people reach out to me, but I did respond and give them what. Oh, hold on, let me bring that back up. Let me
Is
bring
that
that back
YouTube?
up.
You multi-streaming?
No, this is on Ecamm, so people are responding in Facebook.
Oh, I don't
Uh,
see it. For some reason I don't see it in the chat here.
oh, you don't see it? I see it on my side.
Okay, cool.
Yep. Yep. He's saying the best response I could give them was you have to give them your attention. You are to connect with me. Let's see. What does he say? He's going pretty far. Okay. To help in justice is to call out no matter who you are and whether you know the person or not. Stand behind your brother and sister in Christ. Absolutely. If you stand there with something and make an unpleasant assumption and comments about opposite race, then that's where judgment starts. Stand up to when it's unpopular. Yeah, I totally agree, man. I agree. So as we kind of wind down, I'm curious. There's two more things I want to ask you about.
Okay.
The funeral happens. It's all over TV. Everybody's kind of sharing their thoughts. And then lately, I'm sure people have been paying attention. Some of us been kind of getting pushed under the radar because we had election pop up right behind that, and it's been like 3 months of full steam ahead on election, and everything else that was going on. But we had a couple of more incidents happen, right?
Yeah.
Then the election happens, right? So now we're 2 months prior to the election. So September, now we full buzzing, right? Full
Yeah.
buzzing on election. You got this talked about and this narrative and that narrative and this person's doing this. How did you as a father, with your wife, with being a community leader, with somebody that being that the eyes are kind of on you, especially in the community.
Yeah.
How did you navigate this year's election season?
How did I navigate this year's election? Man, during the elections, man, that is one of the times when so many people are so emotionally invested
Yeah.
into the right, the left, right, or
Right.
their candidate,
Hmm.
and I get it. And I'm not here to demean that or to, downplay that, because I get it. Those, your belief system in which side of the, the field, the lane you're on, has deep roots in your
Hmm.
upbringing, your family ties, your business ventures. All these things are very deep and rooted. So to answer your question, how I navigate it is, I am not necessarily the voice of the right or the left. I take the stance of to be the voice of, you know, um, the voice that tells people, hey, listen, no matter what side you're on, we still have to love each other regardless.
Facts.
We still have to be human to each other.
Facts.
At the end of the day, if you're on the right or the left and you get shot, you think I'm going to walk past you and bleed out? I'm not going to
Right.
do that. So I'm the voice. I navigated through the voice of still be human and still help people no matter what side they're on,
Hmm.
to be honest with you. And, and I can say this because I don't think I've ever said this either. When I went to vote, right, I voted on everything but the president. To be
Hmm.
honest with you,
Hmm.
I went
Hmm.
down the ballot. I looked at, because there was some important stuff on there, but
Yeah.
when it came to that president, I didn't. I didn't. I could, bruh, I was stuck. Like I was like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I said, let me just vote on this other stuff. I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
did that, and I go, you know what? I cast my vote, and whatever God want to happen, it'll happen. So
Yeah.
that was me, and that's not by any means saying that nobody else had to do that. That was just me. That helped me sleep at night, to be honest with you. But I know the policies I voted on and the things that I would like to see, as far as energy and things, and as far as some of the different other policies, I did vote on that stuff, but I skipped right over the presidency. So to answer your question, how I navigated it was just to tell my family and friends, because I had family, right? To be honest with you, I had family voting for the candidate that you wouldn't think that we would vote for. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it was all based off of like biblical reasons. Like,
Hmm.
oh, well, this is the side of the party who's for abortions and not for abortions, right?
Right.
And
Right.
this is the party of people who are for this and not for this. And this side lines up with biblical principles. So I have to be forced now to vote for that person, even though I don't want to. And that's kind of
Mm.
the sentiment that I heard a lot of my family saying. And
Hmm.
I'm like, what? Is that how we rocking? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
listen, like, y'all sound brainwashed out here in these streets.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just, at the end of the day, vote for who you vote for. But when this is all over, right,
We still
I,
gotta work.
we still have to love each other. We still have to work
Yeah.
together. I don't want to see no bitter faces. I don't want to see nobody around here pouting and crying. Like, no, like, let's still be human to each other. So
That's
that was
right.
how I navigated